Good morning, everywhere. Everybody, thank you for joining me. My name is Filipp Akinfiev, and today I will talk about our idea at Clyso, how we can improve observability for Ceph cluster, especially for Rados Gateways at scale, for sure. Just to show what you can expect, we just recap few basic stuff for user who don't know what observability is, and then I try to say what we think is the most problem and how probably we can solve this all of these problems. Yeah. So observability. Yeah. It's few things what we need to how we can get some information like logs, metrics, and events that we can collect to understand how system works and how we can improve it. Some benefits of it, for sure. We need some information to make some user experience a little bit better. We want to give our user system that just works, that have no issues. For developer sides, we need also information. We need to understand how perform cluster or our full stack. The same is also we need to understand how all components communicate together and how we can make it better. Alerts are also important part of observability. We need to know what's going wrong and that we can handle it somehow. Yes, observability in Ceph cluster, we have a lot of components there, and they produce a lot of data. And the same with Rados Gateway, we need also this information. And if we just imagine this huge amount of data, we should take it, we should store it somehow, yeah, we should perform it, we should, sorry. I'm talking about, it's my first Cephalocon, it's, yeah. Sorry, yeah, thanks. A little bit nervous. I was not worried about it, but now somehow it's... Yeah, thank you all. So, again, back to data. This amount of data with normal, traditional observability, we get a lot of data, and it's really a lot. It's really too much information that we probably will never need for anything, yeah. But we need to store it, we need to transport it, we need to aggregate it somehow, and the same is if we have some issues there. It's too much noise from different information that we don't need it, and to find something that is really relevant it's really hard. And honestly, yeah, how we do it, yeah, if we have some issues, we're just trying from now to isolate some part of infrastructure to figure out what's happening there. And we are not really related on all the data that we are collecting in last years. Yeah, that's produced a nice amount of digital garbage that we are just collecting and storing somewhere. Yes, for sure. maybe for somebody it can be useful, but I think in most cases it's more really garbage that we don't need it. Yeah, okay, we can say it's probably, yeah, normally this image used people from event-driven design like Kafka and so on. We have many different streams. We can provide many data and we can consume it for sure. But always in this case, we have still problem like drinking water from fire hose. Yeah, like it's just a lot, yeah, of data that we need again somehow to understand, investigate, and yeah, to understand what we can do and somehow find issues that we can resolve somehow, yeah, and that's, I think, yeah, a little bit difficult. Then I read some different articles. We have already some idea at this point that we should go from traditional logging, just from collecting all the data to most important parts of the data. And I find out some interesting CAP theorem from Philipp Carter from company I don't know anymore, something, yeah. The idea is just we need to trying to move from collecting all the data to collect only data that it's relevant and that's bring us some information that we can really use for investigating or for real-time information about cluster and so on. Our idea was, okay, we can try to implement it, and also how we can do it. Idea was it's to have it somehow to decouple it, like loose coupling to create. Yeah, it's more going to the direction event-driven design. Yes, we will say, okay, it will be complicated and maybe not needed. Yeah, maybe for some cases it's really not the solution that it's needed. But if you have really a lot of data, really big clusters, you have so many data that you need somehow to pre-process before you can use it for some business needs. And here I think this theorem from Philipp Carter makes sense, just to trying to move from from the collecting all the data, yeah, to much small pieces what can be really needs for some reasons. Yeah. What benefit it can provide? For sure, fast queries for some real-time data. Yeah, we don't need to go through full information there. We can get information more fast and so on. Data management, it's, yeah, as I already spoke, yeah, it's this amount of data we can reduce, and we don't need storage for storage of data, and also monitoring for monitoring. Yeah, I mean, somewhere it should be a point. Yeah, and relevant data is also, as I already said, we need for first, we need to figure out what cases we have, what our business needs. We don't need all, for example, in Ceph, I think it's more than 1,000 metrics. I don't be sure that it's all metrics that everybody needs and will to collect just because we have it. It's fun, but okay. What's next step? Yeah, and yeah, cost-effective storage. Yeah, for sure. It's then amount of data is smaller, and we can save some costs also there. That's where we have think, okay, how we can make it. And the idea was to make some external solution. Yeah, it's not really integrated in Ceph or Rados Gateway itself, but to have opportunity to work and handle on the fly. And here we have some idea to have 4-layer architecture. You can see it. It's nothing so really new, but the idea, I think, it can be promising. We can create one of the producer. It should be nearby producer. For example, we need some information from the logs, or it should be just so nearby to the Ceph components or Rados Gateways components that we can grab some information and provide to nuts. Nuts who don't know what is it. It's like Kafka, but for Kafka you need really many operators that are should operate it. Nuts, it's really small binary. You can you have here streaming, you have here key value store, and I think for these cases it can be useful, and you can use it for data communication. Remote producer, it's the idea is the same, but in this case, it's some producers that can grab some information through REST API or on different way. It should be not so nearby to Ceph components itself. And for sure, some consumers. Yeah, consumers. It can be just everything what you need, what your business needs. Yeah, you can collect some data for faster information in Grafana, for example, or you can use some. You can create some consumer for security consumes. Yeah? Like you can see on the fly all requests, and if in the last 5 minutes you can easily select somebody who doing too much attempts to log in or whatever, yeah, and trigger some actions that it just block it or whatever, yeah. The idea is just to create some simple communications layer where we can grab some data, analyze it, and perform some action. Yeah, it's a little bit more information there, but again, yeah, the idea is for nearby producer is to be nearby, or they should be nearby, because it's not reachable from outside from cluster, yeah, or from, if it's Kubernetes environment, from different namespaces or whatever, or it should be directly on the node, for example, for some data. Yeah, again, the same what I told about. I just have it all information in the slides. It's just because if somebody will to download it, it's free. Yeah, you can just maybe have some more information and just, yeah, have some ideas also how it can be used, or what we can make with it. The same with for remote producer. The information that you can grab from outside. Nuts, just also a few words about it. Yeah, it's really reliable. Also, it's easy to scale. You can make HA cluster really easy, and also, yeah, you don't need to think about it how it works. It just works. Yeah, I mean, as Ceph also, but not in all cases. Yeah, not in this case. It's really main messaging barebone where all messages are going, and where we can watch for some streams, some informations, and provide it further. Consumers, I told you about it, but you can really imagine just it can be any small program that have some logic that you can use for doing something with this data. Also, I think it's not the best idea to put everything in Rados Gateway or Ceph or whatever that are somehow already collecting data, analyzing it, and somehow reacting on some issues. It should be more extendable, like in this case. We provide data outside, and we can do with this data everything what we want, and we can then just perform some action back, and we can do some proactive action there. Yeah. Just few ideas what it can be. Also, it can be for alerting, yeah, or for logging. Yeah, we can still provide the information to Prometheus, but Loki or whatever. Yeah, but I mean, again, just to turn on every logging on in Ceph cluster, Rados Gateway, and so on, it will not help. It will be performance will decrease, and we don't need it, at least. Yeah, we need it only if we, for example, trace logs. If we have really performance issue and we want to understand how it works. But in this case, for example, again, we have opportunity to be proactive. We see, or we can do it also on demand. If we know that some issues are there, we can perform some trigger, yeah, like, okay, now collect the much more data from all the stack, or only from some components for this client or this user. And our consumer can then trigger again or collect some, set some settings in Ceph or Rados Gateway, or collect more data and grab only data that we are, okay, now we have everything. But then we turn it off, and we have again, yeah, just working cluster without any performance issue, and we don't need this lot of information that we can get. Yeah, for compliance, it's different case. Yeah, if you need just some information, you need to define what you need to store, and you can do it. Yeah. How it works, it's the same, what I already told. Yeah, a producer producing some information. They're going to the nodes. It can be streams, it can be key value store. It depends on the needs. Yeah, and then we have a lot of different consumers. Yes, for sure, it's a little bit. From one side, you can say, yeah, why we need to do it so complex? We have then a lot of different pods or services that consume this data and perform some informations. Yes, from one side, it's true. From other side, here we have then really flexible systems that we can use, and again, we can create consumer only for small logic needs what we needed. Yeah, we can do it for just one idea. Yeah, you can collect all the data from Rados Gateway for some access for some files, yeah. And if you see that some files are written often that other, yeah, you can create some consumer that will just split this information and move data that it's not used so often to some cold storage or whatever, yeah, and data that it's asked all the time, yeah, you can move to some fast storages. Yeah, type of monitoring, that was also the idea how it can be. For sure, yeah, we need some basic monitoring. That's just normal stuff what we want to have all the time, just that we can realize how our cluster health is and what's going on the cluster. Second one, it was on-demand on-demand monitoring. Is exactly what I already mentioned. It's the idea is for operator, for example, we get some information that some issues are there, complaint from customers or whatever. We can perform explicit some actions that we are grabbing more information for exactly this case, or some with some logic for isolating or whatever. The same thing is for event-driven. We can have also some notifiers. That is, if it's somehow figure out that something is wrong in the cluster, then he started to collect more data, and then probably it can just generate one report that will provide to operator, and we can see more useful data, and we can more understand it. Yeah, what we did already. Yeah, it's for sure it's not a final solution, and maybe it's not feasible for all cases, and not all can need it. But already we have tried some ideas, and it's really promising. NATS can handle a lot of messages. Amounts of data will decrease, and we have really the information that we only needed for these cases. We did it, yeah, like I already said, with NATS. The most of our test was in Kubernetes environment. And yeah, here we have a lot of different problems. Yeah, like if you're familiar with it, if you want to, if you have deployed, for example, with Rook, it's not so easy to grab operation log from Rados Gateway. Yeah, I hope we will have soon possibility to create some sidecar, but till now we don't get this opportunity. We can use bucket notifier to Kafka or to HTTP, but it's provide not all of the data. Now we will try it also with Lua scripting to collect here the data, but it's at a little bit latency for each request. And we need to figure out how we can find some compromise and figure out how we can collect data what we are really interested in, and still not decrease performance of the cluster. Sorry. Yeah, it's at least here what I talked about. Yeah. So it make sense to try to work in this direction, I think. Maybe it should not be nuts, or maybe it can be made a little bit different way. But I think, again, and it's our beliefs in then, that it should be somehow decoupled from Rados Gateway, Ceph, and that we can use it a little bit more flexible, that we can, that we are not relying on release cycles of sorry, release cycles for new feature and so on, that we can have the information that we need, we can process it somehow and get some insights that we really needed. Yeah, for future, for sure, AI, it will be cool if somehow AI models can help us to understand what's goes wrong or what we can improve in our cluster. And for sure, it's, yeah, everybody spoke about AI, but I think it's also makes sense. It's just a lot of data, and it's really hard to find the proper information that we can really recognize, okay, this issue is here, and we need to do something, yeah, like some, maybe it's just only misconfiguration or whatever, yeah, and we oversight. Yes, for sure, it will be cool if we can do some better event sending notifications, that we can just somehow configure it in Rados Gateway or in Ceph to say that we needs only this and this data, and this data will somehow provide it to us. Yeah, extending it can be with this solution you can bind your data with all your different solutions that you, for example, you have some maybe own solutions that you handle some quotas for Rados Gateway, or you have billing system or whatever, yeah. Here you have one point where you can grab all the data, or where you can watch for the new data, and you can do everything actively and almost in real time. Yeah, it's the same. And yes, native event support in Ceph and Rados Gateway, it will be really cool. We are thinking about it. Maybe we will do some proposal about it. But again, first of all, we need to understand how we can, if it's the correct approach at all. Maybe it, based on this idea, we can create something interesting and more efficient for all of us, yeah, to make monitoring observability easier and more useful for all of us. Yeah, that's it. If you have some question, thank you. Some ideas, question? Sure.
So I was wondering, we have had native NATS support in RadosGW. Would that help you? Just like we have
I think it will be most easier to use because, again, at the moment, as I know, it's only Rados Gateway. Rados Gateway supports only Kafka bucket notification and HTTP bucket notification, and it's not provide all of information. For example, information about latency or how long the request was. We don't have this information. We can grab it only from logs. Operation logs, or through Lua. In this case, we will try it now to get this information at least, that we can also perform some calculation and also provide some metrics to Prometheus and so on. Also, the problem what we faced, for example, it's usage information from Rados Gateway itself. Yes, sure, we can grab it through REST API, we can grab it with CLI, but it's updated 1 times an hour. I mean, it's collected all the time, yeah, but we want to have actual data and not the data that is already saved 1 hour ago. And for sure, NAT support will be cool. If we can also somehow configure what data we needed, just to keep it also slim as possible, and not to make some overhead for Rados Gateway itself. Just to provide some data, and we can work with it. Thank you. Some other question? Okay, thank you.